What's going on, everybody? Check out this clip from the Pre-Patch podcast.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something else that's not cool. Go fuck yourself. For Ubisoft and the isn't it the CEO or head of like subscription services? They basically came. Well, it wasn't basically. They came out and said we should get used to games
Director of
being
subscriptions at Ubisoft. Yeah.
I know this has Bill's blood boiling.
Yeah.
basically saying like we should embrace faster the idea that we don't own our games, we're just paying for the
Oh no,
right
it's
to
not
use
basically. Yeah, it's not basically.
Yeah.
It's the point
they're
is
saying-
this was his exact quote. The point is not to force users to go down one route or another. We offer purchases, we offer subscriptions, and it's the gamer's preference that it's important here. That is important here. We are seeing some people who buy choosing to subscribe now, but it all works. I don't have a crystal ball, but when you look at the different subscription services that are out there, we've had a rapid expansion over the last couple of years, but it's still relatively small compared to other models. One of the things we saw is that gamers are used to a little bit like DVDs having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collections. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable with this aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at other times, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you've built in the game or your engagement with the game. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game.
Yeah, this is coming from the company that literally like 5 months ago was we were talking about them being like, oh, we're taking these games away that you can't if you digitally own them. Well, too fucking bad. You're not gonna have them anymore.
And then on top of that, he tried to like play into like gamers. He was like, I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand the gamer's perspective with that.
Get the fuck out of here,
but as
bro.
people embrace that model, they will see that these games will still exist. The service will still continue, and you'll be able to access them when you feel like. That's reassuring. Bullshit. Considering Ubisoft's the one that fucking stopped you from being able to play your didn't they have like wasn't it Assassin's Creed one of the Assassin's Creed, Brotherhood. They made it so that you could no longer access your DLC at one point, and then they had to go back on it because of the giant backlash and uproar that they had for that shit. Right? Like that is such bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
It's the worst take of the century.
Well,
it's terrible.
I love the fact of what the comments that came in were like, well, if paying for a game doesn't mean that we own it, then pirating a game doesn't mean that we steal it. It's like I was like, there you go. That's a good point, man.
Yeah. I found it interesting that a lot of people were coming out of the woodwork like lambasting Ubisoft about this, but they're also the same people that were like okay with games going fully digital and stuff like that, effectively doing the same thing as what Ubisoft is saying here with the subscriptions, just with a little less, like without the subscription service, you're still not owning the game if you buy it digital. So
for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. So
yeah, it's weird. I'm happy. I love the energy. But people just got to remember that technically there's a lot of ways for these companies to prevent you from owning your game. It's not just sub-services.
Yeah, I mean, I am that person you talked about. I love digital versions of games. But I'm also a proponent of like I have Game Pass. I have their subscription service, right? How many games do I have on my computer right now that are downloaded from Game Pass? 0. Do I think Game Pass is a great purchase? Sure, yeah. But just like Pal World, I'm gonna buy Pal World. Like, because I don't want it on Game Pass. I don't know how long it's going to be on Game Pass before it's off of Game Pass. So
why not just play it on Game Pass and then whenever it drops or whatever?
Because I have the other motive is I want to be able to play it on my Steam Deck without. And yes, I could get Game Pass on my Steam Deck, but I have to go through a bunch of hoops. I just don't feel like doing it. So I will purchase Pal World when it comes out, but I don't know, man. I was shocked when they said this. And then I was also shocked whenever they equated this to like DVDs and movies and music, which are not in any way, shape, or form the same spectrum that games are. Like, movies and music are things that you consume in very bite-sized chunks. very, maybe a 2 hour experience, 3 hour experience with the movie. Music is, you may buy an album and only like, 3 or 4 songs that are out of it. So subscribing definitely makes more sense. When you're talking about like a 60, 70, 80, $90 purchase, that's hours and hours and hours of time that could just be taken away from you. Like that's fucked up. Like that is an extremely fucked up way to think about it.
I do like this take though. Like when it comes down to like subscription service, I think that like Ubisoft and a lot of these, like, for instance, Ubisoft, Microsoft Game Pass, everything like that. The biggest problem that I have with a lot of these subscription services is that they don't give you like the full access to everything that they have. Right, most of the time it's a curated like selection of games that they've specifically stated this is what you get and this is all you get, and then it's going to be like shifted out on a monthly basis or a yearly basis or whatever it is for Ubisoft and everything like that. This guy's take on it though is like he likes subscription services like Spotify, where like granted you're not purchasing access, like you don't own any of the music that you're listening to, but like Spotify's subscription is actually a really good subscription. Not only does it give you ad-free music, right? But B, you have access to every song in their library, which, as far as I know, is I'm not. I shouldn't say that it's every song, obviously, but it's a lot of songs, right? Like there's probably not a song that you can think of that you can't get on Spotify, right? Whereas like,
but correct me if I'm wrong. You have that even if you don't pay for the premium. You just get
you're getting rid of ads.
You do, but you're getting rid of ads. Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's the only thing that premium really does.
If you don't think
and the fact you can download offline as well.
If you don't think that Ubisoft is not going to slam ads inside of all their shit if you don't pay for their premium version, they already did it.
They already did with Mirage.
You couldn't see the map without seeing a fucking ad.
So that is actually a good point. Yeah.
That's
so
funny
like, I mean, you look at it like that. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Subscription services are really. I don't know. I have a bad taste in my mouth with a lot of them. Like
they're all
Xbox
going
Game
down
Pass
the same route too.
Xbox Game Pass has been about the only one that I've been like, yeah, it's an okay value for what I get. But again, I understand that when I subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, I don't own any of the games that I'm playing on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's I think again, it's an inevitable future. I went into Best Buy, Bill, this week to buy I had to buy a vacuum cleaner. But went in and
buy vacuum cleaners.
I needed a Dyson. I wanted to buy a Dyson vacuum cleaner, and they're the ones that have Dysons around me, but no physical media, none, zero, no movies, no games.
Well, they announced that starting in 2024, they weren't going to be doing that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying,
you didn't think it would actually happen.
It's
weird to see.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I knew it was going to happen, but I think experiencing it and walking in, because one of the things that I always do, whether I walk into Walmart, whether I walk into Target, whether I walk into Best Buy, is I always would browse the game section. I would always browse the movie section, just kind of go through and just
something
look
you
and
do.
see.
I get that.
Right? I mean, now
you're gonna be like shopping for like digital content. You're gonna go by and browse like pictures of shit and like, okay, I want to buy this. Here's a code, sir.
Yeah, here's your code.
Apply this to Steam.
It even made me sad thinking about the fact that, again, and I know that I'm kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth, because me and Bill and Enigma and stuff have had the argument before about digital versus physical, but like it took me to, at that moment, it took me to us back to when I would sit out in the cold waiting outside of a GameStop for midnight
launch titles
and being like, dude, this is an experience that my kids will never know about. Like, they're never going to be able to experience or go through.
I'm sad I didn't catch more of that. I only caught the tail end of it, and I didn't get to do much.
It was an experience to do. Midnight launches, I don't know if you guys ever went to
a good experience.
It wasn't good.
I loved it,
good because you hung out with friends and
I loved it.
You camped out. And
I remember sitting out for what was it? Was it one of the expansions for World of Warcraft? And that was one of the worst midnight releases ever.
I don't know, man. I
was
loved
terrible,
it,
dude.
dude. I
I think
remember
some of the ones I said was like the Call of Duty launches. Most of the ones I
Dude,
did, like the
I remember
early Call of Duties, the good
sitting out
ones.
for 2 days for I think it was the Xbox 360 drop,
You're crazy.
and we camped out, dude, and it was so
You're
much fun.
Crazy.
But
with it.
anyway,
I mean,
Yeah, that's the world we're
it's an
going to.
experience.
So, all right, we're gonna blaze
now
through
you,
these
now
because
you
we're
can
already.
sit on online queues.
Yeah, that's great. I can buy the game as soon as I want, but now I have to
Yeah.
sit in a fucking queue. So,
Yeah, man.
hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the patch notes. And if you want to join us live, we stream every single Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube as well as on Twitch. Also, if you miss the show, you can always catch us at anchor.fm/prepatch podcast or wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the show.